If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $39, for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.
Welcome into First Pitch right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. I am Drew Martin, joined today by Adam Trigger, Jimmy Adams, Bryan Leonard, three astute MLB handicappers on the day before. A little appetizer here before opening day, guys. We got big game breakdown. We got best bets at the end, going around the horn here. Guys, we kind of started it off with your overall thoughts with the MLB season, and also any thoughts on kind of the rules changes. Of course, as you guys know, as being a sports bettor here, changes, great time to win in sports betting. Rules changes, one of the best times, in my opinion anyway. Wanted to get your thoughts overall on that and your thoughts overall coming into opening day. So starting off with you, Trig. Find them at WagerTalk.com. One of the hottest handicappers walking the face of the planet. Man, this guy's been on fire. Check him out, WagerTalk.com, Adam Trigger. Trig, welcome in, man. How you feeling about opening day?
Drew, I can't wait. One of the best days of the year. I love baseball season. I always had people ask, what's your favorite sport? I mean, it changes per season. I've always considered myself a baseball guy. It's the sport I played. It's the sport I coach. I feel like I sort of know the most about it from the ins and outs. So I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. What is it, Drew? All 30 teams playing an opening day for the first time in a while. A while meaning like maybe like 60, 70, 80 years. So that's pretty cool. As far as the rule changes, though, Drew, I'm not putting a ton of stock into it yet. There's a couple things like I'm going to approach it. Like I like teams that hit for contact anyway. It's a way that I was like looking to back teams that are more contact oriented regardless. But as far as like quantifying the rule change in relation to the number, I'm going to kind of let it play out. We saw them make the rule changes in the minors, and I think mostly teams adapted. So keep an eye on it, but it's not going to really like totally be a huge component of my handicap, but it is going to probably make a difference with some teams where I say, okay, this is a play on, this isn't. That's where I might, take the rule changes into consideration a little bit more.
Okay, makes sense there, Trig. And coming to Bryan Leonard next, right there in the middle with the Savannah Bananas hat on, guys. He knows his baseball, beating the baseball market, guys, for multiple years here. Very good baseball handicapper overall. Check him out at WagerTalk.com. Bryan, interested in your thoughts. I know you're going to talk about two-season win totals, but the rules changes overall, I kind of take a different approach than my friend Adam Trigger. I think there's going to be some big changes here, and it's going to affect pitchers differently, almost like cream rising to the top. I'm looking to bet on a couple guys. We saw Max Scherzer in spring training kind of use it to his advantage, and then maybe helping some teams, that like to steal bases a little bit more, maybe looking to jump on them. Interested in your thoughts overall with the rules changes and what you're thinking here coming into opening day, Bryan.
Well, first of all, I never had a problem with the speed of a baseball game. It was relaxing. You can go out and talk to your friends. You can have a beer. I mean, that was part of the reason why I like to go to baseball games. But very much like Trey, I've had a lot of success in moneyline sports, baseball, hockey. Those are the ones where you just have to pick the winner. And that's why I love these sports, because you don't have to worry about a team giving up a backdoor cover, that kind of thing. So that works out well in baseball. One thing I had mentioned, I did a show the other day with Teddy Covers on his XM show. I talked about the pitchers need to be in really good shape. And I didn't think much of it until I heard a quote from one of the pitchers saying, man, he goes, such a workout, because normally I'm sitting there and I've got this time to just sit there and relax a little bit. I think it's going to have an effect on the offense. The pitchers are going to be a little bit more tired because they've got to work faster, and they've got to, throw the ball into the strike zone. The batters should be able to be ready. And I'm looking for chances to bet overs early on in the season because, as you mentioned, stolen bases are going to be easier to do. The shifting of the players defensively, the shift is no longer there. We'll see how a team like Tampa Bay does this year because they were the first people to introduce the shift for the most part. We'll see how they do. They've had really good pitching, but a lot of that had to do with the shift. Now no shift. We'll have to see how that affects Tampa Bay. And I just wanted to note, we're going to talk some baseball totals. Jimmy and I just recently did the Wager Talk Today show, and he had a total on there, and I totally agree with him. So when you're done here, go back and watch a replay of that and get another winner from Jimmy. I don't think he's going to be talking about that certain team here, but yeah, really looking forward to the baseball season starting tomorrow.
Absolutely, Bryan. Good stuff as always, and interested in your two season win totals. And you bring up Jimmy Adams here, guys. He knows his baseball. Top 5 MLB capper at WagerTalk.com last year, and hitting over 60% on those 5% plays. Jimmy, throw it over to you, man. Same question. Any thoughts here on the rules changes that you wanted to throw out there to the listeners, and how are you feeling about the eve of opening day?
Yeah, very excited for baseball like the rest of these guys, Drew. So I'm all for the pitch clock. Let's get the game moving here. No need to step out of the box and adjust your batting gloves for the 5th time, walk around the mound. So I'm all for that. What should be interesting, though, is the pickoff attempts, right? Limited to 2, if I'm correct. And we've seen steals dramatically increase in the minors. So look for a lot more steals, which will lead to higher scoring games. That'll be interesting to see. And then the scheduling changes as far as playing so many more interleague games. I think that's going to favor the pitchers. You can kind of get a scouting report from a batter's perspective on what a hitter is going to do, where they like the ball, where they don't. But it's very hard to simulate against a pitcher until you've faced him. So you take a guy like, I'll just throw out a random name, Alek Manoah for a second, and get him, facing a team from another league. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but I definitely think it favors the pitchers. Overall, I am in favor of pretty much all the rules changes. The shift, I could take it or leave it. It never really made sense to me, Drew, how major league hitters couldn't either lay down a bunt or at least slap a ball the other way when the shift was going. But if they want to change it, that's all good with me.
Yeah. Always a opinion on like what they should have done. I'm with you, Jimmy. The shift's the one, I always go back to Jazz Chisholm, and he talked about how the shift's been happening for years, but it took players like the offseason to really be able to go the other way, and his batting average shot up, and then sure enough, people stopped shifting on him. So I almost thought it would be like the game would police itself from a fan standpoint, so there's not really a reason to do that. But hey, it is what it is, and really, guys, we're going to get after this from like a taking advantage from a betting perspective is really what it's about. A fan's perspective, the game's shorter, whatnot, can you enjoy your beer and your hot dog or not? That's all great, and it's fun to talk about, but getting after it from a betting perspective, that's what we're going after. And Jimmy, I like what you brought up with that schedule change, and I got a best bet at the end here, going to kind of use that to I guess, hopefully my advantage of these teams are playing less division games this season, guys. So, hey, it actually might be a totals part of the handicap as well, because the batters are going to see each pitcher less often. And usually when batters, see pitchers multiple times, it's an advantage to the batter. So maybe it would be a chance as the season goes on to bet some more unders. But we'll get into that, guys. Each analyst here, each handicapper has big game breakdown and a best bet for you. So we're going to be going live 2:00 Eastern time right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, first pitch, bringing you the goods here. So we'll go over back to Adam Trigger here, WagerTalk.com. Trig, you got a big game breakdown for us? Where are you heading, man?
Yeah, so my big game breakdown is on the Chicago White Sox. If you watched Wager Talk yesterday, this is an extension of the win total that I gave out. So I just want to start it off by saying I played over 82.5 wins for the White Sox. I posted my breakdown of that, but I'm going to expound upon that here because there's other ways I want to play this White Sox team. First of all, Drew, I'll just start off by saying I'm very high on the White Sox this year. They only need to win 82.5 games to get over their season win total, and they're plus money, as you can see on the graphic, to win the division 3-1. I think that's crazy. I don't think the Guardians or the Twins are so much better than the White Sox that you should be able to get 3-1 on your money for the White Sox to win this division. And the Tigers and the Royals certainly probably won't. And then just plus 140 to make the playoffs, expanded playoffs. And if this White Sox team, listen, guys, they won 81 games last year, playing about as poorly as they could possibly play, in my opinion. They had one of the easiest schedules down the stretch. And to only win 81 games was just insane. I think some of that had to do with the morale in the clubhouse. I don't think the players really related to Tony La Russa. I don't think Tony La Russa related to the players or even had a clue where he was half the time, guys. So getting him out of there, I think, is a plus. I know, Drew. I mean, he was just lost most of the time. Now you got Pedro Grifol. I love the fact that he worked his way up through the Royals organization. I think the vibe is just going to be so much better. I think that the players are going to enjoy coming to the ballpark every day and playing for Grifol. And that's just a huge difference, Drew. Over a 162 game season, you need that morale to be high. And listen, they lost guys, right? They lost Jose Abreu. That's a big deal. We know Liam Hendricks has the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma thing going, but Drew, I heard that he's targeting June as the time to be back, whereas like a week ago they had him out indefinitely. So that's some great news for Hendricks and their bullpen. And then there's just, I think the Abreu loss, Drew, is going to be offset by these guys actually being healthy and playing games this year. Eloy Jimenez played 84 games last year. He was banged up. In and out of the lineup was Luis Robert. They had guys, Tim Anderson's always had a little bit of an injury thing. But they bring in Andrew Benintendi. I love that signing. He's going to hit behind Anderson. I was talking about contact in the open of this show. What a great 1-2 punch to get guys on base. And then you have guys like Jimenez, Robert, Andrew Vaughn, a number of solid bats. Yasmani Grandal should have a much better season than he did last year. So there's guys that could bounce back. And then I go to the starting pitching, which I absolutely love. Dylan Cease, absolute stud. Lucas Giolito should be better than last year. Lance Lynn was great once he got going last year. He missed the first month of the season, and then it took him a while to get going. He should be fine. Michael Kopech, you got Clevenger, who looks like he'll be part of the team. I know there was some uncertainty there. And there's arms in the bullpen. Even without Hendricks, there's still arms in the bullpen. They can piece together that bullpen for the first couple months of the season. All we need is 82, 83 wins, essentially 500 baseball. I know they're not going to get all those games against the Central, Drew. It's part of the thing we talked about with the scheduling, but I'm really not that worried about that. The upside is high for this White Sox team. I like their season win total over. I like them to make the playoffs at plus 140. I like them to win that division at plus 300. And I think you could sprinkle on 18-1 to win the AL and 40-1 to win the World Series. Obviously, bet those accordingly. Put more on the win total, and to make the playoffs, they're more likely than 18-1 and 40-1. But I think you could bet the White Sox across the board in that manner, and that's going to be a solid investment, because I'll be very surprised if this team comes out and plays sub 500 baseball this season.
Like it, Trey. Great breakdown, man. The analysis on the Sox. Just a quick follow-up question for you. Let's say somebody had $1,000 bankroll to put
Sure.
on the White Sox. How would you want them to distribute that? Maybe like 500 on the season win total and split up the rest, or how would you say to do it?
Yeah, I would. So I would make your AL to win the AL and to win the World Series like a fraction of that, like a sprinkle, for lack of a better term. I would have most of it on the season win total, and I would stagger accordingly. And I'd have most on the season win total, some on to make the playoffs plus 140, some on to win the division 3-1, and then just take a flyer on them to win the AL or to win the World Series. That's 18-1 and 40-1 respectively. You really can invest a fraction of a unit there for a nice return. So I wouldn't go nuts on those sort of exotic markets, but over 82.5 wins is going to be minus 110. To make the playoffs plus 140. I think that's a great price on them to make the playoffs at plus money. And then to win the division 3-1, Drew, are the Twins and the Guardians that much different? The Twins are on my fade list to start the year. I think that's a really good bet at 3-1 in a division that's essentially going to be a 3-team race. I don't see the Tigers or the Royals really factoring in there.
Yeah, Royals likely not going to have that hot of a season either. Bryan, coming to you next, man. Your big game breakdown. This is a team that has underperformed as long as I can remember. Really, I don't remember the last time they hit their season win total. This has been a great fade team, but hey, there's a buy low point at some point, right here, Brian. What do you got for big game breakdown?
Yeah, you've got a team with the two of the most popular players in Major League Baseball. You've got a team playing in the outskirts of LA, and everybody seems to like to bet on them. And like you, I've been fading them each and every year for I don't know how long, and I've been winning each and every year. It's a different team this year. I just got back from spring training, got to see them play 3 times. This team is loaded offensively, ton of power on this team. One of the things I look for when I'm looking at season wins is, first of all, how teams did in one-run games the previous season. Now, you are going to find teams like a Seattle or the teams that have the great bullpens, they're going to be, every year they're going to be really good in one-run games. But the Angels haven't been. Last year, the Angels had a terrible record in one-run games. And when you take a look at the entire season, they only won 73 games, but they were only outscored by 45 runs in the entire season. That should have equated to a 76 win. So instead of looking at what their record was last year, 73, it should look at 76. Another thing I always take a look at is how teams do in spring training. Teams that do well in spring training and are bad in the one-run games from the year before have always done very well. And you take a look at the Angels this year, they got the best record in the American League in spring training, and they did that without the aforementioned 2 best players. Trout was out and over in the other tournament, as well as Ohtani. So you got a team that's starting to play better. They're playing with a renewed enthusiasm. And, just look at the injuries from last year. You had Trout missed a lot of the season. A lot of it was precautionary. But, you had Anthony Rendon miss basically the entire season. You've had a lot of injuries on this team. Now they've got guys in there that are fully healthy. Rendon's back. Trout seems to be in really good shape. He's really, one of the things that he's even talked about was trying to keep Ohtani in LA. And one of the reasons to do so is to win and make the playoffs. So he's going to go all out. There won't be any games from Trout where you're looking at the NBA where you've got some rest considerations. That's not going to happen for him and the rest of the team. And being a leader, he's going to keep the rest of those guys in line also. But, some of the signings they made in the offseason, Hunter Renfroe, a guy who hits 30 home runs every year, they bring him in. Brandon Drury, they brought in. I saw the guy in spring training. I think he hit 3 home runs in the 3 games I saw. The guy's a great power hitter. Gio Urshela coming in to play shortstop. That's pretty good. Shortstop is a really deep position, and he's really good. If you're into fantasy baseball, I think that might be a nice advantage there. And they still got some of their guys on the bench. Jake Lamb made the team. Jake Lamb has a lot of power. As long as he can keep his batting average up, he'll be good. Brett Phillips, one of the best defensive center fielders. So they've got a lot of depth on this team, and I really like the starting rotation. We all know about Ohtani. Patrick Sandoval's a guy that's been on the up the last few years. Really like him. Tyler Anderson, that was a big signing for them in the offseason. Tyler Anderson went into L.A., and the Dodgers are great at pitchers. They could turn around any pitcher, and they've done that over the years. And now staying in basically the same area, I think he's going to have a real big advantage here for the Angels. And Reed Detmers, I play a lot of fantasy baseball. Everybody loves Reed Detmers. He's the breakout candidate this year, and Suarez is also very good. So the only concerns you take a look at for the Angels is the back of the bullpen. They brought in Matt Moore, who I think is going to be a major improvement for him. They brought in Carlos Estevez from Colorado. He has not looked good so far, and I actually don't expect him to be the closer very often. So they've got Jimmy Herget throws his rotation. Everything he does is a little bit off of what everybody normally sees. That's a big advantage. But they've got a guy, they sent him down to Double-A, and he's supposed to be their next upcoming star, and he's going to be the closer there. So I really expect some good things coming out of him as the season goes on. So I think that'll be something that'll really help them. And so right now they've got a closer in waiting in the minor leagues. He does have a little bit of a walk problem at this point, but he should be back up there in no time. And I really like the way he pitches. And once he makes that lineup, it gives them something they don't normally have. And that's Ben Joyce from is their guy that I'm talking about. He was clocked at 104-mile-an-hour fastball in the minor leagues last year. This is the flamethrower they don't have in the back of that bullpen. I don't expect they sent him down to the minors. I don't expect him to be down there long. He'll be back taking major innings as this season goes on, and that really is going to improve this Angels team. I like the Angels over. I think the line's pretty cheap.
Ohtani and Trout in that same lineup towards the Angels in their season win total on the over. Jimmy Adams, WagerTalk.com. Jimmy, think you're heading to a prop bet here. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it up a little bit on the big game breakdown, and I got this at a little bit better number, but I'm going to go with Yordan Alvarez to win MVP, currently at 11-1 at DraftKings. So look, I'll just run it down for you. When you look at the AL MVP odds, you're going to see Shohei Ohtani on top, right? Absolutely no value for him, and the Angels are going to probably need to be a good team for him to win the award, something they haven't proven they can do. There's also a scenario where Ohtani isn't even playing in the same league at the end of the year. We'll have to see what happens. I know the Angels would love to hang on to him, but regardless, no value on Ohtani, right? Then you can go ahead and throw out Mike Trout because unfortunately for him, if the Angels are good, they're going to give the award to Ohtani unless he has a terrible year, but the Angels won't be good unless Ohtani plays well. So kind of going to throw out Trout. Aaron Judge is the one guy that can kind of step in the way here because if he has the same season that he did a year ago, he could very well win this award again. Not a ton of value on him. I'm seeing him at 5-1. And then just kind of running it down still. Julio Rodriguez, don't expect him to win. He's too young. Very few players do it at this age. And now the league has some, tape or film, for lack of a better word, on him. We could potentially see some regret. Jose Ramirez, no chance. Rafael Devers doesn't play on a good enough team. So we all know the Astros are already going to be a great team. And Yordan Alvarez, his stock's trending up. 37 home runs a season ago. A 306 batting average, 97 RBIs in 2022, and that was with the shift. I think Yordan Alvarez may have been one season removed from winning the MVP, and at 11-1, I think you're still getting a decent number, and I am recommending that for today's big game breakdown.
Like it, Jimmy. Good stuff, man. We got best bets coming up here. Guys, want to hit the chat box real quick. Huge shout out to Wisconsin guy. We got Jessica in the house as well. JT, thanks for joining us live. And feel free to reply below. Any questions, we'll answer them later this week or next week on the show. So feel free to reply in the reply section. Also, if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Brian, got a question for you here. Wisconsin guy saying, my initial thoughts are to ride the hottest teams in spring training and fade the coldest teams in spring training. You mentioned spring training. You're a guy that's done this a while. Do you factor in spring training into your handicap for the MLB season, or does it not matter at all? What are your thoughts on that?
For the most part, it doesn't matter. What I look for is pitchers who found a new pitch they've been trying out, and then hitters that have made some adjustments. But no, if you win in the spring training, well, the Angels had the best record, I believe, in the American League of spring training last year. And, like I said, they only won 73 games. So, yeah, I wouldn't do that because most of the time, and if you've never been to spring training, basically what it is they have the beginning of spring training, the first week or so, the starters for the most part don't play, and then they build it up from that point on. So many times you'll see a starter, your big player, come out and he'll bat one time, and that'll be it. He's off to the locker room with a lot of the other starters. So don't pay much attention to that as a regular season look ahead type of thing.
Okay, good stuff, Brian. And thanks for the question there, Wisconsin guy. Guys, we got best bets coming up, going around the horn here. And actually, I'll start it off, heading to a season win total, guys. So we get that 162 games. Actually, in my opinion, if you're kind of more of a casual bettor, MLB season win totals can actually be kind of the most bang for your buck entertainment value because you're paying that minus 110 to, risking 110 to win 100. So it's not like they're charging you so much to make a futures bet. A lot of times that's like equivalent to minus 140, risk 140 to win 100 to bet those futures. Whereas MLB season win totals, it's the normal pricing, yet you kind of get that longevity of having something, on each game, 162 games. So just kind of overall going at it that way. But really, I'm going after the Boston Red Sox over 77.5 wins. Couple reasons why, using change to our advantage here. The scheduling changes, guys, depending on the division, are going to be pretty heavy, in my view. In the AL East, these teams are going to be benefiting from it the most, in my opinion. I mean, you look at the AL East, you got the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, you get the Orioles that are now good. A lot of these teams, obviously, some of the top teams in MLB, the Yankees there. And I almost forgot the Rays down in Florida. And sure enough, it really hampered the Red Sox last year. When you look at their record against the AL East, it was 16-41. They got absolutely hammered by their competition in division. They went 3-16 against the Blue Jays, 6-13 against the Yankees, 7-12 against the Rays. And last year you played these teams 18 or 19 times. Now this year you're playing in division 12 to 13 times. So you're saving 6-7 games on all of these teams. That adds up over the course of a 162 game season. So that's what kind of pointed me towards the Red Sox. And looking at their pitching here, a lot of people down on it, but you got big names at the top. I mean, Chris Sale leaving spring training healthy. When was the last time that guy was healthy heading into a season? If he's top notch, watch out there. You get James Paxton as well, some big names at the top. And if they're able to kind of be, similar to what they were in the past, maybe not as good, but almost as good. Hey, that offense was pretty decent last year, guys. So the Red Sox, look, 77.5 wins for a team. Hey, if they're around 500 towards the trade deadline, when you're betting season win totals, in my opinion, this needs to be part of your handicap. Teams that are going to be buyers, more so to bet overs, teams that are going to be sellers. If the Red Sox are in this, I actually think they'll be buyers. So 77.5 wins, using the schedule dynamics, the change to our advantage, up and over 77.5 wins for the Red Sox for my best bet. That's the season win total for me. Throw it over to Adam Trigger. Guys, check him out at WagerTalk.com. I mean, he was on a massive win streak, guys. I don't even know what it was, 14, 15 straight. It was pretty ridiculous. Trig, what do you got going on at WagerTalk.com? And any final thoughts and a best bet for us?
Quick thought, Drew, I agree with you. I like to target the win total overs that are in like the 70 to low 80s range, because I don't think it's a huge ask if you have a good handicap on a team to play 500 ball. So I like your take there. I have right now I have nothing up for sale. I had played Wisconsin last night. It was a tough end to the streak or like the great run through the conference or through the NCAA tournament and the NIT. They didn't score a point the last 9 minutes of the game, but we'll probably play something in college hoop over the weekend, and I'm gonna have plenty of baseball. I'll probably start posting it to tonight into tomorrow. So go check that out and check everyone's page out for the baseball, which starts tomorrow. Drew, I want to plug quickly. I'm going to be on Spaces on Twitter at 4:45 today, doing a full hour of KBO preview. So if that's your thing, come join me on Spaces for the Korean baseball. I'm breaking down all 10 teams. That season starts on Saturday. And for my best bet, I'm going to break a different team down, and I'll give you specifics on how to bet this. So the team I want to highlight here is the Toronto Blue Jays. Drew, I'm not going to go after the win total because it's high enough where I don't love the room for error against the minus 110 on the win total. So the way I'm going to bet the Blue Jays in futures is I'm going to play, let's call it 40% of my bet on Blue Jays to win the AL East at 2-1. I'll play another 40% of that, of whatever your unit is that you want to put on this, on the Blue Jays to win the American League at plus 650, which is probably my favorite of the three. And then I'll leave that last 20% for the Blue Jays to win the World Series this year at 13-1. Drew, if you couldn't figure out, I'm high on the Blue Jays this year. I've really liked this team for a couple of years. Unfortunately, this team was immature, and it came back to bite them last season. And it's really probably been the limiting factor the last couple seasons, because I don't think anyone would say talent is the limiter there, right? I think it's maturity and being able to focus for 162 games. Now, they seem to have figured that out. Bo Bichette has made comments about it, but management went out and addressed this for them by bringing in guys like Brandon Belt, Kevin Kiermaier, Chris Bassett, good veterans that are going to come in and make this just a more mature team that I think is ready to win now. I love the Bassett signing, Drew. I think that's a excellent pickup as far as like finding a good arm out there on the free agent market to go with a very good rotation. Alec Manoah, Kevin Gossman, Chris Bassett give you an excellent 1, 2, 3. And the back end, I mean, there's guys that should have bounce back years back there. Jose Barrios being one of them. And, you know, even if like Hyunjin Ryu, I'm not even counting in the rotation. I mean, he's probably going to be back and he could bounce back and give them something in that 5th spot. Yusei Kikuchi should be better than he was last year. They've got guys in the bullpen. Drew, your boy, Yimi Garcia down there, someone I really like. Jordan Romano, great reliever. So I love the pitching. And then you have Bo Bichette. They trade for Dalton Varsho, which is a great trade for them. You know, they had to give up a prospect in Gabriel Moreno, but they bring in a guy, and Lourdes Gurriel, but they bring in a guy in Varsho that could be like on the cusp of a potential breakout. You have guys like Whit Merrifield, who probably will hit 8th or 9th in this lineup. Bo Bichette, I referenced him earlier. He's one of the best players in baseball, in my opinion, from a talent/potential perspective. I think another year under his belt makes him more mature and could really see him become one of the best players in the American League. You've got George Springer, and there's just, you know, there's guys that I'm not even, you know, forgetting off the top of my head. Matt Chapman, I think, is in a contract year and could bounce back as well. There's so much to like about the Blue Jays. I think if you know, you're getting value in the American League, you've got 5 pretty good teams in the AL East. Everyone thinks the Yankees are the top choice. You've got the Rays that should be in the mix as well. So why not some Blue Jays at 2-1 to win this division? But my favorite bet of the 3 here, Drew, is the Blue Jays plus 650 to win the American League. Because if this team is rolling into the playoffs, I just think they're very dangerous, and that price is great. So plus 650, Blue Jays to win the AL, and of course you got to come back and play a little bit on the Blue Jays to win the World Series at 13-1. But I really like the Blue Jays this year, and they're a team I'll be targeting quite a bit.
And north of the border there, that is a talented team in the Jays. Huge shout out to the chat box. Wes in the house, Michael, Christian, Johnny Boy as well. Wes saying so excited for baseball. We'll be watching all year. Thank you in advance. Well, Wes, thank you for joining us, and thank you for smashing that like button. Again, guys, feel free to reply below in the reply section. Let us know what you're betting for season win totals and any MVP or World Series futures. All is welcome in the reply section on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You can also check out Trig tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel for The Hustle. We got Bryan Leonard up next, guys. I'm looking at his page here, guys. Speaking of hot handicappers, 13-0 run for Bryan Leonard. He has a 5% play up on the ice. And hey, if you were wondering who the number 1 handicapper in the NHL at WagerTalk.com is the last 6 seasons, it is Bryan Leonard in net profits number 1 ranking, and he's on a 13-0 run, 5% up on the ice. He knows his baseball as well. Bryan, final thoughts, best bet for us.
I'm coming after Trigger. What was yours, 14, 15?
I think I had 14 and lost. Bryan, I think I had 14 and lost number 15. And since they're allowing me to talk real quick, your Las Vegas Aviators jacket deserves some acknowledgement on the show as well. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't have my team gear on, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. I got to get some baseball gear.
There you go. I wanted it because of baseball season coming up. And yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, 13 straight winners. We've got a great deal going on right now. The Detroit office put up something. You could buy the 5% play tonight for $35. 35-17 career on NHL 5% plays. And as was mentioned, 13 straight winners. Or you can get a full week of action, all sports, with baseball coming up tomorrow. This is a great deal. For only $69, just go with Pitch, baseball pitch, PITCH, 69, and get 7 full days. So if you're looking for the 5%, this is a better way to get us. And you get baseball, you get hockey, you get basketball. we're actually doing well in every sport right now, so I can't complain at all. I'm going to take a look at another team here that usually I'm looking to fade, but I'm looking for them to go over, and that's going to be the Chicago Cubs. I really like the changes they made here. You go down their lineup, other than Patrick Wisdom, this is not a team that is swinging for the fences. They play the small ball. They've got 4 or 5 guys on this team that could run and steal 20 bases. Cody Bellinger's probably, they brought him in. He's probably one of the other power guys in this. But, I've liked the moves they made in the offseason. Last year, I believe they won, 74 games? And they've done well once again in spring training. They're currently at a 586 win percentage in spring training, so they've done very well in that regard. But I like the moves the Cubs have made. They brought in, obviously, the big one, Dansby Swanson, coming off a career year. Obviously, we're probably not going to see that again, but this is a guy who's gotten better each and every year. Bringing in quality individuals. They did it. Trey Mancini, guy who battled cancer. He's been back. I like this guy. I think he's a team leader. He could play first base. He could play outfield. That's really going to help him. I mentioned Bellinger. And they also brought in a few other guys. Eric Hosmer, the one that I didn't really care for. Didn't expect him to make the team, but yet he made the team. So we'll see how he does. But he's more of a singles hitter, but he'll get on base for you. But they also brought in Rios, who is with the Dodgers organization. The Dodgers got so many good minor leaguers that all these guys that they end up trading away are quality individuals, quality hitters. And their catchers, 2 very good defensive catchers, in Yan Gomes and Tucker Barnhart. But I like the way this team is going. What I really like is the pitching staff. They brought in 3 guys in the bullpen, one of them on waivers, Julian Merriweather. This is a guy with Toronto that when he's healthy, he's a very good pitcher. He hasn't even battled health injuries for the last couple of years, but he's very good. But they brought in Brad Boxberger, who in the past, I believe, has had 30 saves in a season. He's very much overlooked. He's a guy that's great in the back of the bullpen. And Michael Fulmer. Michael Fulmer's brought in from Detroit, and he's another guy that has a lot of ability. I believe his numbers this spring have been even better than before. And they have Brandon Hughes. So they've done a really good job in the back of the bullpen. In fact, they've done such a good job. They've sent some of their guys that were in the rotation last year are now in the bullpen. And usually when you go from the rotation to the bullpen, you pick up extra speed. You're better because you don't have to worry about throwing 80 pitches, 90 pitches, something like that. So I like the bullpen, and I'm in love with this undervalued pitching staff, and mostly because these guys are not known for strikeouts. And everybody loves guys who throw a lot of strikeouts, and that's great. I like them too. But just because you're not striking people out does not mean you can't have success. Marcus Stroman's been a very good pitcher his entire career. Justin Steele, love this guy. He really looked good last year. He's a lefty. I think he's going to have a big season. James Taillon, coming back from the Yankees. He's fully healthy now. Drew Smiley's back. He hasn't pitched well in the preseason, but he'll give you some quality innings. So they've got him coming. Kyle Hendricks. Heard a lot of good things about Kyle Hendricks. He had problems, capsular tear, and everything I've seen coming back is he's in really good shape, and he should have a really good season. But the one I wanted to talk about was Hayden Wesneski. This is a guy who came out of nowhere last year. Real young guy. They got him in a trade with the Yankees last year, and he's really performed well. He looked really good in the preseason. And this is a guy, even though he's the 5th starter right now, it would not surprise me if he moves up to number 2 or 3 by the end of the season. I think the Chicago Cubs pitching staff is one of the most underrated staffs in Major League Baseball, and I'll take this team over.
Bryan Leonard, ladies and gentlemen, 13-0 run. Again, he's got that 5% NHL up for tonight. Also a free play up on his page on a little underdog in the NHL. So all there's for the taking. He knows his baseball, obviously, and going to be a mainstay here on the First Pitch Show. So last, certainly not least, we have Jimmy Adams, WagerTalk.com, top 5 MLB capper last season, up over 50% profit, guys, and hitting over 60% on his 5% plays. Jimmy, I'll throw it over to you. Any final thoughts for the show? And you got a best bet for us?
Just reiterating how excited I am. We're off a tremendous 2022 baseball season. 66.7% on our last 35% plays. And I'm not wasting any time. I got one locked and loaded, ready for opening day. And the best part is you can get that for half price as part of a new special going on at WagerTalk Throwback Thursday. So just $17.50 gets you that pick. And get involved with a long-term subscription, up 53.73 units last year. We made a bunch of money. But anyway, for today's best bet, I'm going with the Cardinals over their win total at 88.5. So with the Brewers likely to regress in 2022, which I think they will, St. Louis has a chance to kind of run away with this division. I know there's some that may be improved, maybe the Cubs a little bit, as Brian mentioned, maybe the Reds, but the Cardinals not far and away, but they're the best team in this division, and their lineup is going to be an absolute nightmare for opposing pitchers. 5th in the MLB in WRC plus in 2022 at 114. And now they've got one of the best prospects in baseball set to debut in Jordan Walker. Put up pretty darn good numbers in AA. And if you're concerned with him making the jump from AA to the majors, there was another guy who just did that, and his name was Julio Rodriguez, and it turned out pretty well. I'm not saying Jordan Walker's the next Julio Rodriguez, but he is one of the top prospects in baseball and can only help a lineup that is pretty solid from top to bottom. Keep in mind, these offensive numbers were going on when the shift was implemented. We talk a lot about that, but again, just something that's going to further help this offense score even more runs. So that leads me into pitching, which is kind of the wild card here, right? Because the Cardinals have above average starters, but these guys need to stay healthy. We've already seen the injury to Adam Wainwright, right? So the starters are going to need to stay healthy, but if their offense can get them a lead going the 8th or 9th innings, they sure have the setup man and closer to finish these games out. Jordan Hicks and Ryan Helsley, 2 shutdown guys who can absolutely blow you away. Hicks was already clocked at about 105 miles an hour in spring training. And then lastly, the Cardinals played elite defense last season, something that's often overlooked when looking at these teams. You look at a team like the Giants, who was, the worst team defensively in a lot of metrics last season, and it shows in the wins and losses come, the end of the regular season. So the Cardinals should get to 90 wins. This is a program that is a model for winning, consistent winning. What if they had one losing season in the last 20 years or something ridiculous? We're not asking them to get too far over 500. Get to 90 wins, get up and over this win total. Cardinals for today's best bet.
Jimmy Adams, guys, check them out at WagerTalk.com, where you can find Adam Trigger and Brian Leonard as well. That's going to do it for today's Future Show. We will be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Opening day is upon us, so check out Trig, Brian Leonard, Jimmy Adams, WagerTalk.com. Please smash that like button. Feel free to reply below. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Cash those tickets.
If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $39 for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.